Happy early Halloween, everyone, and welcome back to the Pageant Sit Down. I'm a Glitz Minnie Mouse, or your host, Regina Lena, and I am joined, as always, with my co-host, Elizabeth. Hi,
Hi,
Liz.
Reggie. I am a ladybug with half a wing kind of falling down. It's a rough day for the ladybug, but I'm here and I'm really excited for today's guest.
Ladybug has been busy. We both are in red. Did not do that intentionally. We swear. We
Nope.
never do. But as you mentioned, we have an amazing guest on. And I think we went with the red vibe to match with her crown, I think.
Oh, yeah. Love it. Well, I think we should introduce her and get this party started. So, everyone, please welcome the current Legacy Regal World Queen, Janice MacGregor. Welcome, Janice.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Of course.
I'm so glad you ladies did red because, I didn't wear red, but I was like, when you guys pointed out that you were both wearing red, I'm like, the crown matches at least.
Exactly, yeah, for sure. And what are you dressed up as today?
I am Chewie.
Love
Chewbacca.
it.
She's Chewbacca.
I love that.
Very warm costume.
I'm just adjusting you because I want everyone to see your outfit. So bear with me, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so Janice, you are back on the show. I know we were supposed to have you on a couple of weeks ago, but we made it happen. We're this close to almost having another technical
difficulty glitch.
I know. But we are so grateful that you made it on today. And because of you, we dressed up. You were the one that inspired today's dress up episode. So we made it.
First time Halloween costume episode.
It's
true, yeah. Very exciting.
She would know. She always watches. But Janice, as you know, we are familiar with you, and I know some of our viewers have heard your name in the chats. But for those who are brand new, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. My name is Janice MacGregor, and I'm from Saskatchewan. I was Miss Regal World 2020 to 2021. And now I am the Legacy Regal World Queen. So I'm very excited for this new chapter in my life.
That's awesome. So how did you get your title?
Wow. I was just as surprised as everyone else. So Miss Regal World started as a virtual pageant in 2020. And we are planning to go in person whenever things get close enough to normal that we can actually do an international pageant in person. So this summer in 2022, our director, Victoria, it was a complete surprise to me. She didn't even let anything slip in our conversations. She named me the Legacy Regal World Queen, and I'm beyond honored and humbled.
Yeah, well, it suits you, I think. A lot of the people that we talk to, you are always, Liz and I can guarantee one viewer, and it's always you, and you're always there just hyping everyone up. So you truly are the definition of a regal queen. So there's no questioning why it's a legacy queen, because she's legacy queen. Oh my God, are you crying?
I know.
It's emotional. Honestly, though, but when you think of the Regal World brand, we know it's newer, but you're a person that definitely comes to mind, and you promote the brand a lot, and so I think it makes sense. I think it's a great title for you to have, and very well deserved. So what have you been doing with the title since you've got this honor?
What I'm trying to do is promoting my original platform. I had a few, but the one that I'm most active in right now is the epilepsy awareness platform. And what I'm really trying to work towards is education for our police officers with both of you being in Ontario, you may have heard about recently, it was within the last 2 weeks, someone with epilepsy ended up in a situation with police officers where he ended up being tasered. And I'm not blaming the officers because they weren't trained for this, but there is actually an optional epilepsy training manual for officers to take, or a course for them to take during their training. And what I'm trying to do is push for that to become mandatory. Now, this actually started, I've been trying to do this since 2018 when I was International Miss Canada. And it's now that there's a national epilepsy awareness group that's also doing it, I think that this might take traction just because of them, with what they're doing. And it's just a short 45-minute course, just teaching people or teaching officers about what to expect when dealing with someone who has epilepsy. Because when you call 911 for a medical emergency, the closest first responders are the ones that show up. So, I mean, I've often had firemen around me. Not that I'm complaining. Firemen around me when I regain consciousness. And I mean, firemen are trained in this. But when someone's coming out of a tonic-clonic, formerly known as a grand mal seizure, they can be, we're confused, disoriented. We have no idea what's going on, where we are. That's why first responders go through the questions like, where are you? What year is it? Who's the prime minister? Stuff like that.
Oh, wow.
And I don't think I wouldn't know. I don't think I'm aggressive when I come out of it, but I know that I'm confused. And for a lot of people, including myself, we can look like we're intoxicated or on drugs or something. And basically what we're trying to do is educate police officers so that when they come across us, we don't end up getting tasered. Actually, there's this case from a few years ago where this one gentleman was in his car with his 2 children and he got tasered. What happened in this situation, though, is that man who has epilepsy, he was actually an off-duty cop. And I mean, that just shows that, we need to educate people on this because, aside from it being traumatic for him, his 2 kids saw that happen. And I just think it's really important to educate people, aside from the police force, just the general public, on what a seizure can look like so that we can get proper medical attention instead of being tasered or handcuffed or anything like that. Because if you just let us recover on our own or just, talk to us or whatever, we're not going to be aggressive. However, I've never regained consciousness with guns or tasers being pointed at me. I imagine that in that kind of situation, I might become aggressive, but I don't know. I just imagine there would be a terrifying, threatening feeling to wake up and see a taser in your face.
Right.
No, 100%. Is there, I don't know, because I do know a few people who have autism, epilepsy. And it's interesting though, like you mentioned, like there's so many different forms and different types of epilepsy. Like I know one girl where her eyes just roll back and that's it.
Yes.
I know that there's some people who do get full-on seizures. Is there a way, like, you know how they have like the medical alert bracelets to have an identification, like, hey, if I were to have a seizure, this is why?
Yeah, so with those medical alert bracelets, aside from identifying that you have epilepsy, it can actually say what kind of seizures you have. So I have tonic-clonic seizures, which I mentioned are probably most still known as grand mal seizures. But I also have the absent or absent seizures, which is one form is what you mentioned with your eyes just rolling back, or sometimes it just looks like you're daydreaming or like you're just not paying attention. And yes, that was a very good question about the bracelets, because I admit I don't have a medical or per se bracelet, but I do have a St. Valentine pendant. If anyone's religious, they might know that St. Valentine is the patron saint of people with epilepsy. But I should. My mom's always on me to get a medical alert bracelet. It's just that they're not very attractive now. I mean, there are. I went onto the website.
Yeah.
There are different styles now, but.
So for your platform, what are some ways to enact this? Like, is this something that's like got like federal like legislation like kind of stuff that you would have to go through, or are you just promoting it by like word of mouth on social media? How are you getting this message out to people?
So back in 2018, I was doing a letter writing campaign, which obviously hasn't been working. In 2020 and 21, when I was the reigning Miss Regal World, I was actually able to talk to a lot of people in the States about this and other epilepsy-related causes. But the Canadian Epilepsy Alliance just started a petition a couple weeks ago, and I phoned my MP's office, and I'm hoping to get a chance to talk to him, like just 10 minutes. I don't know if the message got relayed to him or not, but I know it was suggested to speak to my MLA instead of my MP, but this isn't just a Saskatchewan issue. This isn't just something for my MLA to deal with. This is a Canada-wide issue, because the cases I know of, 2 of them happened in Ontario and 1 happened in Alberta. So this is obviously a Canada-wide thing, not a Saskatchewan thing. So that's why I'm hoping to speak to my MP instead of just my MLA. However, I'm not opposed to speaking to my MLA and hopefully getting change started in Saskatchewan, and then hopefully other provinces and territories will follow from that.
For sure. And I feel like with your platform, like I know Liz mentioned social media, like with your platform, and like I know one of the girls that I coach, hers is also her platform. I can't speak today. Her platform is also epilepsy awareness. So I feel like connecting more on social media does spread the word. Like I know Purple Day, like everyone's wearing purple, but take that moment to really show what epilepsy is and showing signs, or like identifying the signs of a seizure, because like you said, everyone's seizure is different. Really quickly going to the comments, sorry. Sleepy_Zaki says hello.
Hello. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, it's so weird not seeing your name in the chat, by the way, Janice. It's very odd. And speaking of the comments in the chat, to all of you who are tuned in, if you have any questions for Janice or have questions about her pageant experience, her costume, anything you want to ask her, feel free to leave them down below. Are you a Star Wars fan?
To be honest, no. But I have a pageant sister in Australia who is. So I'm wearing this for her every time I post. when I post something Star Wars related on Instagram, I post it for her because I know it makes her smile. Emma, I know it's some insane hour over in Australia, but this is for you.
That's awesome.
Amazing.
I've never seen Star Wars either, so it's okay.
This could get me canceled. I don't know the difference between Star Wars and Star Trek. I don't know.
Oh, I know about Star Trek, but so there's a difference.
I hope she bought this from Star Wars. Otherwise,
yes, he's from Star Wars. He's from Star Wars.
Emma.
I only know Star Wars because of my husband and because of Scott Dion Brown. If it wasn't for the podcast and him, I don't know that I would care to watch Star Wars. Like, I remember our first Star Wars episode on the sit down. I was just like, I don't know nothing. I was so bored. And then during the pandemic, my husband was just like, oh, we should watch it. I'm like, I can't leave, so I guess we have to watch it.
It's a good time to do it.
Yeah. Aren't they like 3 hours, the movies?
They are. They're not short films.
You sit through that?
We didn't watch them all like in like a one sitting. I think we watched 3 and then I was like, I'm done.
Fair enough. More than I have, so good for you.
I tried.
The 3-hour movie I've watched is Titanic.
Worth it.
That's fair.
Was that 3 hours or 2 hours? I don't know. As soon as a movie
depends on the cut.
2 hours, like, can't you just edit stuff out?
Yep.
You could, but they didn't. Katie Marnock is in the chats and she says, as a fan of the Pageant sit down, have you learned anything from this show that you've applied in pageants? That's a great question.
My sister's always so thinking.
She is. Those are great. She's always so thinking.
Yeah.
Is this your sister?
Yes, that's my sister.
Yes.
So the Pageant sit down started after I last competed, but I have learned a lot from the different guests on here. And actually through your episode with Scott, I learned more about male pageants, which I thought was really interesting because I wasn't aware of how big they are. I mean, it's a niche, but it's a big niche. It's bigger than I thought it was.
Yeah, there's I know Mr. International has just happened. There's a Mr. Universe. There's like, if you think of the Grand Slams, there's literally a Mr. version of it. I know Maria has been teasing on the website. It says Mr. Galaxy coming soon.
Very long time for that, though. I don't know. That's been around since my decades, so I don't know.
We'll see what happens. So you watched the Pageant sit down quite often. You've been on the Pageant sit down before.
Yes.
Let's just chat a little bit. What has been, like, I guess, your favorite highlights on this show? And let's talk about it, all three of us.
Oh, wow. So I actually know a lot of the guests who you've had. So I always enjoy watching them. And I enjoy watching the guests who I haven't met in real life or who I haven't competed with. And it's always interesting to see the different points of view. And I also really like it when you have international or even intercontinental guests, like when you had Danny on the show, because I know Danny from the Pageant Project when she co-hosts with Adrian. And it was really interesting to see her as a guest instead of as a co-host. I was so super excited when she won her title recently. She absolutely deserves it.
She killed it. I'm so upset that no one captured my reaction when Danny won, because that in itself was gold. You can only imagine. I was jumping up and down and holding my dress and trying to figure things out, and I was like, oh my god.
Well, see, that's the thing. Like, there's all these stereotypes about pageant girls, and there's stereotypes that came about from people who are not in the industry. What they don't understand is that what you just said is the reality. We're cheering each other on. We're not competing against each other. We're competing with ourselves for a job. You know, a pageant is a job interview for a 1-year internship. And that's it. Like, we're celebrating. Like, when those girls win, I'm crying. You're screaming. So exciting. And we're truly happy for each other. And I remember the last time when I was on stage for an in-person pageant, I was like the 7th or 8th person called for the top 10. And I didn't think I'd make the top 10. It was my first time at an international pageant, and I had actually come out of retirement for that pageant. And, you know, my platform was civil rights. I was advocating for this thing in Mississippi. And of course, like, I've never even been to Mississippi. I've never visited there. I don't pay taxes there. I'm not a resident there. So, like, who do they care about? Like, what would they, why would they care about Janice from a small town of 700 people in Canada? They don't care about Janice from small towns in Canada. But what they would care about is International Miss Canada. So I came out of retirement. I looked it up on the pageant planet. International Miss was the top rated pageant for women over 26. And I was like, okay, that's the one I'm going to compete in. And I mean, I won 2 other awards, Best in Evening Gown and the Determination Award. And I was just in shock. And both times when they called my name for those awards, I turned to the person beside me, and we were in alphabetical order. So Ms. Afghanistan was beside me. And I just confirmed with her, like, did they really say my name? Because I didn't want to find out I actually called someone else. So both times I confirmed before going up. And then when they called me for the top 10, I realized, you know, I can't just stand there in shock, because there are 1 or 2 more positions in the top 10, and there are girls all around me who are just praying that their name's going to be called. So I just went up there, and I realized, you know, I walked up there without them, and then realized that they didn't actually say Canada, and they said a different country. Then whatever. I mean, I'll look dumb, but I'll just turn around and walk back. And you know, when you're up there in the top 10 and you hear your friend or your roommate also being called to the top 10, you're just screaming on the inside, and you're like reaching over to grab her hand, even though she's walking to the other side of the stage. And as pageant girls, we truly are fans of each other, even if we're both vying for the same title at the same in the same year.
That's so true.
Totally.
Scott actually is in the chat. Scott Dion Brown says, good evening. Hello, Janice. Have a great show, ladies. So yeah, I asked him, like, did you hear her talk about you? But I think he is already off. I think he's streaming. So if you guys are interested in watching, it's Spooky Week on Scott Dion Brown's channel. So he's all dressed up on that end. But go there after our episode.
I'm actually gonna have to leave now to go check out his channel.
Like, hey,
bye.
All of you stay here. Melissa Gregory is in the chat. She says, Janice, hearts. You are so elegant. Congratulations on your earnings and representing us Caribbean ladies.
Thank you, Melissa. Thank you so much for joining us, and it's been great chatting with you on Insta and in the chat box in other episodes. And oh yes, I forgot to mention, when I won Miss Regal World 2020, I actually represented Guyana, which is where both of my parents are from. So I'm the proud daughter of immigrants, and I apologize for that. That is my landline.
I was gonna say, are there still landlines?
That's okay.
You're fine.
Yeah, because I turned off my cell. But yeah, that's my landline.
You're all good. You're
good.
I can barely hear it.
You can barely hear it. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. So, totally lost my.
Your
You know,
Caribbean
it's that
roots.
telemarketer who's calling to tell me that there's something wrong with my neck and that he needs some numbers off of the back. Those are the only calls that you get on your landline these days. I totally lost my train of thought.
Those are the only numbers you get.
I was saying that I represented Guyana, and I'm working towards epilepsy awareness in Guyana as well, because aside from the same issues that we have here in Canada, there's also superstition, which there is in Canada as well. So when I was Miss Regal World, I was able to connect with the Guyana consulate in Toronto, and they're going to hook me up with some NGOs. Like, we're still in contact, and they're going to hook me up with some NGOs in Guyana so I can actually get there and like have boots on the ground and be working over there with the people.
That's amazing.
That's incredible.
Look at the, like, literally the definition of regal, legacy, queen. Like, it's just
and definitely world.
Yes. Like, oh my goodness.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness. Well, so are you. We're just speaking the truth here. But Janice, as you know, on the show, there is a segment called 5 Tips from a Beauty Queen. And now, having your new title and your new experiences, what would be your 5 pageant tips for all of our viewers watching us today?
Oh, okay. So the first time I was on the show, I remember that I deliberately did not write anything down because I wanted it to be, as spontaneous as possible. I also remember seeing later that it was about 10 minutes to give you 5 tips. So I did write things down this time.
It's hard. It is hard.
Well, I just had so much to say, and then I would expand on it. Okay, so I think I touched on this the first time. So, first tip. So some of these tips are for competitors as well as for queens, and some for people who competed but did not get the title. So the first thing that I wanted to say was to reconfirm the judge's decision if you win. So it's not just about having your name called, getting your crown and a sash, some flowers, and then you go on your merry way. You have to live what you said for your entire year as a queen. You have to live everything that you said. Make sure that the judges don't look back a month later or 6 months later or 11 and a half months later and say, oh, that was the worst decision that I ever made. Reconfirm their decision. And along with that, by the end of your reign, I think that you should have your delegates from the last year agree that you deserved it. Now, maybe it might not be on a conscious level, but at some level, have them think, you know what, she deserved it. And one thing that happened with me is about a month after I won, one of the girls who was also competing that year, she sent me a voice note on Messenger, and she said, when they called your name as a finalist, I thought, oh God, why her and not me? What does she have that I don't have? But now I see that you actually deserved it and you actually care about people. So I'm really glad that you not only were a finalist, but that you also won. So, I don't know if she's watching this, but you know who you are, and it's been years, and I still remember that. Okay, Pardon me? So my second tip is to go in viewing all of the other delegates as friends and not as competitors. Because when you think about it, you're all going in with the same goal. You've all worked so hard to be there. And you're all equals in that way. Everyone's worked equally hard. Everyone wants the same thing. So your friends, your colleagues, your partners, you're not competitors. And my third tip is, if you win, just remember that, you know, we have gender roles, and being a pageant queen, as odd as this sounds, actually fits more into the more masculine gender role, because we're taking on perspectives that are stereotypically or traditionally male, like these leadership positions, these positions where we're, shall I say, aggressively pursuing things in order to advance our platforms. But at the end of the day, just remember that you also have a heart, and it's important to nurture that as well. So like, get out of your head, get out of your brain, and just feel. And I mean, this is also something that males should be doing as well, whether or not you're a male pageant contestant or not. Just remember that you do have a heart, and it's important to nurture that as well. Now this one is for everyone at any stage in their pageant journey, whether you're competing or you're in pageant week or you are crowned. Excuse me, just talking about what that former co-delegate said still has me emotional. Regine, could you turn the camera on to YouTube for a second?
Okay, 1 second.
Okay.
So it's us again. This has never happened before, but it's true. Like, we all do get emotional just remembering like all of the things that we've gone through in the past. And honestly,
Yeah.
Janice, you do wear your heart on your sleeve. And don't worry, I will edit this out before posting it on our Instagram.
It's emotional. It's like, it takes up so much of your life, and it's a big part of it. So yeah, no, it's all good.
Alrighty.
Thank you. Okay, so the next tip is to remember not to expect perfection from yourself, because you're only human, you're fallible, you will make mistakes. I'm telling you now, when you get that crown put on your head, within the next year, you will make mistakes. Just go into that year expecting that you will make mistakes, okay? So when it does happen, don't beat yourself up over it. You're only human. Winning a title does not make you superhuman. So learn from those mistakes. Just learn from it. That's all that you can do as a human. And finally, this one's important to me. Support your community and your platforms. If you are competing for a national or even provincial type title, have to support that community. When I was representing Guyana, I was trying to help over there. However, also being Canadian, I want to help in Canada and in Saskatchewan specifically, because this is my home. And I think that if you are more so wanting to promote yourself, or get that modeling contract, get that, get cast in a local commercial or TV show or whatever. Maybe compete in a pageant where you have your name on a sash rather than your town or your province or your country. You have to support your community. That's what you're there for. And those platforms that you tell the judges about, you have to support them. It's, even though we're the people putting so much effort into this, we have to remember that we're there for more than just us as individuals. We're here for an entire community, whether that's a physical community like a province or a state or a country, or a community such as the epilepsy community or whatever your platform is. So those are my 5 tips, and hopefully I did that in less than 10 minutes, but I was not watching the clock.
That's all good.
You're
Those are all very good
fine.
tips.
They are. And like I said, don't worry, we'll edit them out if we have to. But yes, like Liz said, they are amazing tips, and they are truly heartfelt. Like, we felt it. I'm sure viewers felt it. I know you felt it. So thank you for sharing those tips with us.
Thank you for letting me.
I love that she already knew that the camera was on her. She was like,
she knows how this rolls.
I've watched the show so many times. I know who the camera's on.
Oh, that's so funny.
It's true. It's true. So so what episode are we on? We're on episode 94.
Yep.
Have you watched literally all 94 episodes?
Wow,
if I can't
that's
watch
amazing.
it live, then I'll watch it afterwards.
Wow.
You are so well, okay, so what is it, I guess, that brings you to watch it? Like, I'm not trying to like boost our egos or anything, but I'm so curious. No, I'm so curious. Like, I have no choice but to watch it, but I feel like you've watched more episodes than Liz has, and Liz has been on here half the time.
She has, 100%, yes.
Well, when I first heard about it, I thought, oh wow, what an interesting concept. And then, it's Canadian, so I'm like, oh, I have to support this. And then it was you, so I'm like, oh wow, okay, now I super have to support this. And then I started watching, and I'm like, this is really good. And then when you brought on a co-host, I'm like, the chemistry between these two is amazing. So I've just been enjoying it. Aside from it being Canadian, it's 2 people who I enjoy watching.
Oh, thank you. We appreciate it.
Yeah, we do, but you've literally seen the evolution of the show.
Yeah,
so,
and there has been an evolution of the show. I think that it's like, as it's progressed, it's got more like girl chat and, not so, it's informative in many ways at parts of the episodes, but it's also just entertaining, which I've always enjoyed, and I'm glad that I get to be a part of it because I love nothing more than chatting about this kind of stuff. So, yeah.
I feel like Janice is like the 3rd chair, but she's like the virtual chair.
It's
like,
so true.
It's so weird
virtual
to not have like.
But having those online interactions are so helpful. It makes it more of a conversation. It helps the show flow. It brings normally our funniest moments, I have to say.
It does. And our guests
get
really, and our guests love the fact that you're in there because you, for example, who was it that we had on? Caitlin, where she was just like, oh my God, what's happening? This person loves me. So thank you for being our 3rd chair.
It's been my pleasure. And this isn't one of those things where it's like, oh, it's my pleasure. It's like, no, trust me, it is my pleasure. This is the only thing that I will miss an Oilers game for. Like, I'm gonna miss the beginning of the Oilers. Like, look, I'm going from pageant mode.
It's on you.
To
oh my God. Amazing.
This is the only thing that I'm only gonna miss the first half of the first period.
But like, wait, who are they playing against today?
So we are
like, don't say Toronto.
Okay, I believe it's St. Louis. Okay. Sorry, that's the Canadian in me coming out.
It is.
I believe it's St. Louis.
That's
no wonder
amazing.
You're sweating. You have a full-on hockey jersey on.
Hockey jersey plus the Chewbacca. It is hot.
I can imagine.
Oh my goodness. So let's step back into pageant mode for a second. So you have not done an in-person pageant in a very long time. How are you doing?
Withdrawal.
Same.
But we are definitely, like, Miss Regal World was intended to only be virtual for the first year. And I remember it was like April or May of 2020, our director, like, we could get Miss Regal World t-shirts, and our director had, like, we could get the red t-shirts with the Miss Regal World logo, and Victoria, our director, she got one in black, and then on the back it was blinged out and it said director, and she was like, well, I know what I'm wearing for pageant week next year. And then 2021 came around and COVID was still a thing. And then 2022 came around, and because the pageant is UK based, and well, I don't have to explain COVID. It's been around long enough that everyone understands it. 2022 didn't get to be in person, but we are really hoping for 2023 to be in person.
A lot of pageants have come back.
Pageant sit down, that means it's going to happen.
That's true.
Wait, what?
Oh my goodness, I said it out loud.
You're manifesting.
Oh, yes, exactly.
She is
it's so
manifesting.
True. Honestly,
it will happen.
So
Victoria,
many
if you're watching, if it happens, thank you, Janice.
Yeah, I mean, so many pageants have been coming back, which is great. Travel has come back almost like entirely, which is amazing. So if you can do it safely and it's still fun, I think, go for it. It'd be awesome to see that. It'd be really exciting to see everyone go for that pageant.
It would be so amazing, especially since there's so many delegates that have competed all 3 years. So to finally meet them in person would be so fantastic.
Absolutely, yeah.
It would be. So I know it's been a while since you've been on the show. What is Miss Regal World, for those who are like, what is this girl talking about?
Oh, okay, great. So Miss Regal World is an international pageant. And what I find really cool about it is that you're allowed to represent who you are. Now, this is something that doesn't apply to everyone, but it definitely applied to me because, as I said, I represented Guyana. I've never lived in Guyana. I'm not a Guyanese citizen. I don't have a Guyanese passport or anything like that. But I was watching the website because as more people registered, they would be added to the website. And then the day the applications closed, there was in any of our 4 age groups, there were no representatives of Guyana, but there were a ton of representatives of Canada in all of the different age groups. So I emailed and I'm like, okay, full disclosure, I'm not now, nor have I ever been a resident of Guyana. I am not a Guyanese citizen. I've never lived there, anything like that. But both of my parents and all 4 of my grandparents are from there. I noticed that there isn't a representative of Guyana. May I? And she was so open and welcoming, and just allowing me to share my heritage meant so much to me. And you guys know that I get emotional. So when I got an email back from her and she was supportive, of course I was crying. So Miss Regal World is an international pageant, and we have 5 different categories. We have our junior miss, our teen, our miss, our Ms., MS, and our classic divisions. So we're open to a whole wide variety of ages, and we're very inclusive. We, aside from ages, we have different ethnicities, different religions, different sexual orientations or gender identities. we're pretty much open to everyone. We're all equals. A human is
That's
a human.
awesome.
We're all the
That's
same.
awesome. And what kind of categories do they have at Miss Regal World if they're interested in participating?
Oh, sure. So for up to age 12, you have the junior Miss, and then 13 to 17 is the teen Regal World, and then I believe 18 to, see, the age categories changed since I competed, because I competed when I was 36 as Miss, but now if I were to compete now, I would be Ms. So I believe 18 to 28 is Miss, and then 29 to, I'm not sure what the upper end of the Miss is.
That's all good.
Don't worry.
All good.
And then I think 60 plus, I believe 60 or 65 plus is, or maybe it's 55. I apologize. I don't remember.
Like all ages, basically.
Is classic. So we've had ladies who are in their 60s compete. So
That's amazing.
yeah, definitely.
What are
The website is missregalworld.com, or you can just Google it and it'll have the age division spelled out.
Perfect.
And what kind of competition is there? So like, is there evening gown? Because it's virtual, right? So how does that work?
So in the year that I competed, we did an introduction video and basically told about who we are, what we stand for, what our platform is, basically getting to know us. And then the finalists did an evening gown walk, and we all had a question that we had to answer. And I believe now there is a third category. However, I did not ask any of the finalists if I could see their videos, because I figured if they wanted people to see their videos, they would have posted it on their social media. So I didn't want to make anyone feel like I was putting them on the spot. But there is another category now. I think their Q&A might be separate than their evening gown. All I know is that when I did it, Regine, you saw when I was having trouble logging in, and I had you on my phone while trying to log in on the computer. You saw the room that I was in. I started my evening gown walk over there and then walked over to here, and I didn't even have a ring light or anything, so I just had all of the lamps from nightstands around my house around
Love
me.
that.
And then I did my Q&A over on the side. Had to move all the furniture away. Oh, I'm
Hey,
That's awesome.
That was pandemic pageantry at its finest. The move the couch and bring in the lamps. That's what
All the
everyone
lamps.
did.
Yeah, I had my phone because I recorded my videos on a phone because I don't have a professional camera. And I didn't even have a tripod, so I had a stack of books.
I
Yep,
love
that
classic.
I had my phone balanced on, and it worked.
Girl,
I
like,
Yeah, exactly.
I was gonna say, you know the evolution of the pageant sit down, so you get it. You totally get it. We get it. Trust us. We know. But it's great. And so, like you mentioned, go on to their website or go on their social medias. All the information is there. Let them know Janice sent you.
I don't
It's
get
almost
commission, but hey, if you want to name drop me, that would be cool.
say you saw it on the pageant sit down.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pageant sit down for sure.
We definitely need to get Victoria on the show. I know
Yeah,
that
that'd
she
be
watched. Look at her face.
Oh my goodness, Victoria would be the dream guest. Like, she's such a warm person that I know you would love meeting her and chatting with her. And when she speaks, she's very from the heart and authentic. That you know that she's not just saying what you want to hear. You know that what she's saying is genuinely what she feels. You would just love her as a guest.
All right. Well, you
meet
heard
her
it
on
here
the
first.
show.
I'm convinced.
All right. We'll make it happen. We'll make it happen. But the hour has gone by very quickly, Janice. I don't know where time has gone. But before we wrap things up, first off, thank you so much for being on this show. Thank you for finally making it happen. We
No
love
technical difficulties.
yes, we
You're all good.
love having our third chair in a chair for once. Do you have any last words for our guest, and where can they find you online? Our viewers,
Sure.
sorry.
So if you wanted to follow me on Insta, I'm at ms.janice_MacGregor. So that's ms.janice_MacGregor. And on Facebook, my profile is private, but my page is just Janice MacGregor. I mean, if you look at Google Janice MacGregor, I'm the only one who's Caribbean. I type in the search bar, I'm the only one who looks Caribbean.
There you go.
Perfect.
There you go. Liz, where can people find you?
You guys can find me on Instagram at Elizabeth Murdoch Pageantry. You can find me with my hair and makeup stuff at Elizabeth Murdoch Artistry. If you're interested in competing in a national pageant and you want to reach out to me, you can visit Canadian National Miss if you're interested. Yeah, those are all my things. Otherwise, you can just find me Elizabeth Murdoch on everything else. Alrighty, Regine, how about you?
If you're interested, no, I'm just kidding.
I don't know.
If you're interested, if you guys are enjoying the pageant sit down, make sure you give this video a thumbs up. If you enjoy all things pageant sit down related, subscribe to this channel. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at It's Regina Lena. Is Janice there, or is she frozen? I think.
Oh, she can hear us, yeah.
She's in it. Oh.
Are you?
All right. You're not.
Beautiful.
I think she is frozen. Janice, we can't hear you. You're frozen on our end. No. Well, we see you, but you're frozen. So with that, let's wrap things up. We are at the hour point anyways. Thank you everyone for you sound like a robot.
Oh,
there she is. You good?
there we go. Okay, we're
Janice,
good.
are you there? Is she there, Janice?
I am going to turn on Wi-Fi on my phone and check out what I can find, if I can see you.
We can hear you. We can hear you, and we can see you.
Okay.
I don't know if she can hear us, or I don't know if she can hear us. So
oh wait,
that,
okay, okay, so wait.
Can you hear us?
Hey, so I can see the two of. Wait. Hi.
Perfect.
I just. Okay.
Alrighty, Regina, are we good to go?
We're back.
Yes, it's a
I
live
just turned on
stream.
my
She
phone
lives in a rural
see if you guys
area.
are still there or not.
Yeah, we're good.
No, we're here. We're here. You're here. That's all that matters. All right. So as you were saying, we're gonna start to wrap things up. Janice, I'm glad you can hear and see us now. Thank you so much for joining us. It's always a pleasure having you on the show, whether it be in person or virtual. I'm gonna wrap things up now. We'll see you all next week. Bye.
Bye.